Hey warriors, stop scrolling and look around. The modern era has not freed you. It has engineered a new, subtler form of servitude, mental slavery. We see people's minds endlessly chasing digital ghosts, switching focus 100 times a minute, unable to sustain a single coherent thought for even a mere 5 minutes without their internal system crying out for the next hit of shallow stimulation. Their most valuable asset, attention, is fragmented, their energy is scattered, and their deepest convictions are merely echoes of the collective noise. The signs are unmistakable: a quiet chaos, a pervasive mental fog. They no longer think, they simply react. This, my friend, is where true power quietly leaks away. Your mind isn't collapsing from laziness, it is drowning in an ocean of noise, the static of endless opinions, the poisonous chatter of gossip, and the constant, demanding chime of notifications. You are not inherently tired. You are profoundly overloaded. You are not unmotivated. You are dangerously unfocused. And in this state of chronic distraction, your true potential bleeds out, silent and unseen. Centuries ago, Machiavelli observed a simple, brutal truth. The most formidable man is not the strongest or the richest, but the one who thinks with absolute clarity. He understood that the difference between the master and the subject is one thing: clarity, the surgical ability to cut through the noise and perceive only what truly matters. The sharper your mind becomes, the more unassailable your control over your life, your choices, and your eventual destiny. Think of your mind as a blade. A dull blade bends, cracks, and fails the moment it meets resistance. A truly sharp blade, however, cuts through all resistance with effortless precision and grace. Every distraction you tolerate dulls that edge. Every act of sustained focus sharpens it. The question you must answer today is: how sharp will you forge your weapon? Today you will learn a mental discipline that transcends mere productivity hacks. We will explore how to use a Machiavellian perspective, a form of dark psychology, to harden your focus, eliminate internal weakness, and rise above the ordinary, chaotic noise of this world. You will come to see what the master strategist Machiavelli saw: that the real game of power is won in the silent, controlled arena of the mind. By the end of this journey, you will not just understand focus. You will become focus itself, cold, calm, and deliberate. Once you master your internal world, no one can manipulate you, confuse you, or distract you. You will see through illusions, anticipate moves before they are executed, and become a silent strategist in a world addicted to chatter. Now, drop this affirmation in the comments: my mind is my weapon. Number 1. The silent dominance of focus. Focus is not a burst of motivation. It is control in its purest, most essential form. The undisciplined mind is a puppet, drifting from one stimulus to the next, compulsively reacting, scrolling, and chasing fleeting impulses it doesn't even comprehend. This leaves attention fragmented, fragile, and trivially easy to manipulate. But the disciplined mind does not chase noise. It moves only by its own intention. Every moment of intentional focus is an act of dominance over confusion. The principle is stark. The sharper the focus, the stronger the mind. Machiavelli's lesson: he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command, applies perfectly to your internal state. A weak mind serves distraction. A powerful one commands attention like a silent ruler over chaos. Distraction does not destroy people in one dramatic blow. It erodes them, moment by moment, until they lose the capacity for deep, independent thought. Most people mistake being busy for being effective, rushing through life, confusing constant motion with genuine progress. Real strength is born from stillness, the ability to direct all mental energy toward a single, chosen purpose while the rest of the world screams for attention. Focus is the art of doing only what matters and cutting everything else without a trace of hesitation. A scattered thought is a drain of power. A controlled thought is a consolidation of power. Those who understand this do not waste their attention on trivial opinions or fleeting, irrelevant emotions. They operate from silence, not noise. Their composure is unsettling to the impulsive, for it reveals a radical level of control. When others panic, they remain composed. When others talk endlessly, they simply observe. This composure is not passive, it is intelligence in motion. As Machiavelli warned, men are often judged more by appearance than by substance, for all can see, but few can truly grasp. A person who moves with quiet certainty has nothing to prove. Their power is already visible in the unshakable quality of their focus. True focus is not an addition, it is a subtraction. It grows only when unnecessary external stimulation is ruthlessly removed. The fewer distractions you permit to enter your mind, the sharper your intellect becomes. This process is uncomfortable because silence strips away the protective noise and exposes every internal truth that was once hidden. Yet, clarity is born only in that silence. And with clarity comes precision, patience, and absolute control. Most minds are open windows, allowing everything in. The mind that learns to shut its doors to nonsense becomes unshakable. Concentration deepens perception. Decisions become cleaner and faster. Emotional chaos loses its grip, and attention moves only when you explicitly choose to move it. This deliberate awareness is the mark of a truly powerful mind. Such presence is rare and inherently magnetic. People notice it and respect it, even if they cannot articulate why. In a world addicted to emotional reaction, calm concentration registers as authority. Machiavelli knew that clarity creates command. The mind that knows exactly what it seeks doesn't compete, it directs. Focused awareness shapes its environment, influences others, and builds silent respect without needing to make a single demand. It is invisible control, not a shout, but a quiet, precise force that fundamentally changes everything around it. A clear mind is never loud, but its presence is always profoundly felt. In this age of perpetual distraction, focus is the highest form of power. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Calm is control. Number 2, the subtractive strategy. Remove before you add. The second pillar of power is subtractive thinking. Remove before you add. The modern mind worships accumulation, believing that to learn more, read more, chase more goals, and consume more content will eventually lead to wisdom. But the mind grows sharper, not by piling up information, but by ruthless elimination. Clarity is found not in what you gain, but in what you are willing to let go of. Machiavelli taught that the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The fool keeps adding layers of complexity until their mind collapses under the weight. The wise one, conversely, strips away the unnecessary, revealing the clear structure of truth beneath the clutter. Mental strength is not achieved by learning more. It is achieved by removing what weakens understanding. Most confusion is self-inflicted. A mind crammed with noise disguised as knowledge, worthless gossip, fleeting trends, useless advice, and the heavy emotional residue of other people's chaos. Every fragment of this steals mental energy. The sharp thinker recognizes that every distraction tolerated is a small, quiet surrender. Subtractive thinking is the discipline of cutting before creating and clearing before building. It demands a cold precision, removing false ideas, detaching from meaningless influences, and stripping away the superfluous until only the essential core remains. This process is deeply uncomfortable because the human mind is conditioned to fear emptiness. Yet, It is in that precise emptiness that true, unpolluted insight is born. Imagine your mind as a fine blade coated in dust. Every fragment of noise dulls its edge. The only way to restore its sharpness is to scour away everything that does not belong. This is why powerful thinkers value solitude. It is not loneliness, it is a mental deep clean. In stillness, illusions cannot survive. What remains is raw thought, strong, unfiltered, and direct. Subtractive thinking is not passive. It is a ruthless intellectual force. It cuts through sentimentality, ego, and emotional attachment. It questions every assumption until irrefutable clarity emerges. Most people cannot undertake this because it requires confronting the ugly reality of their own mental clutter. But Machiavellian wisdom is built on unflinching observation, not comfort. He saw that the truth is almost always buried beneath layers of self-deception. The subtraction process begins with heightened awareness. Recognize and reject useless conversations, emotional entanglements, and the insidious habit of constant, unnecessary comparison. This mental discipline is rare because it requires the strength to walk away from the very noise that others crave. Society celebrates addition because it feels productive, but real progress occurs when the unnecessary is surgically stripped away. Subtractive thinking is like wiping a fog from a mirror. Suddenly, everything becomes perfectly visible. When the excess vanishes, thought moves with pure precision. Decisions are made instantly without confusion. No more time is wasted on irrelevant details. Those who master this approach appear mysterious. They speak less, but their words carry more weight. They act selectively, not constantly. People often mistake their restraint for coldness, failing to realize it is clarity. Machiavelli understood restraint as a powerful form of control, knowing precisely when not to move, when not to speak, and when not to act. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." In thought, this translates to, you cannot avoid internal chaos by running from it. You must manage it by removing what fuels it. When the mind is cleansed of clutter, external chaos loses its power to influence. Subtractive thinking transforms intelligence into pure precision. Fewer distractions mean sharper perception. It is the discipline of simplicity, not emptiness, but concentrated awareness. Those who practice it move through life with a quiet efficiency, immune to noise and crystal clear about their purpose. Nothing can confuse a mind that has learned to let go of the unnecessary. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Less is clarity. Number 3. Internal authority. Control your mind, command your life. Every form of external power you desire begins with internal control. A person who fails to command their own mind automatically becomes a puppet of their emotions, impulses, and external circumstances. The comforting illusion of balance makes people believe they can divide their attention between comfort and power, but comfort inherently weakens control. True strength is found in the discipline to govern your thoughts, even when your emotions are demanding chaos. Machiavelli once suggested that the first way to estimate a ruler's intelligence is to observe the men he keeps around him. The same logic applies inward. The men surrounding your mind are your thoughts. If those thoughts are weak and chaotic, the ruler, your consciousness, is weak. Mental control is the absolute foundation of personal authority, and without it, every external achievement you build will eventually collapse. The modern mind is constantly being pulled apart by 1,000 external triggers. Fear manipulates decisions, anger destroys judgment, and anxiety steals your presence. People mistake mere reaction for true awareness. They are not thinking, they are simply responding to stimuli. The individual who learns to observe their mind from a distance, rather than drowning in its waves, begins to see patterns invisible to others. This separation between the thought and the self is the creation of dominance. Emotions still surface, but they no longer dictate your movements. Power lies in the ability to pause. In that brief pause, clarity speaks louder than any impulse. The mind that obeys emotion becomes a servant. The mind that commands emotion becomes a ruler. Machiavelli warned that chaos often disguises itself as opportunity, stating, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." The controlled mind does precisely that. It adapts without ever losing its core direction. When confronted with external pressure, it adjusts, but never panics. When challenged, it recalculates, but never collapses. Every emotion is treated as valuable data, not disorder. Most people allow their feelings to drive their actions, leading to inevitable regret. Those who practice control act after thought, never before. Their calmness under tension is not a natural gift. It is a skill trained through countless moments of deliberate restraint. The ability to remain unmoved while the world around you shakes is the unmistakable mark of true internal control. To master the mind is to master three things: attention, emotion, and time. Attention decides what you see, emotion decides how you feel it, and time decides when you act on it. Together, they form the architecture of self-governance. Losing control over any one of them leads to profound weakness. This is why powerful individuals rarely react in public. They conserve their energy by staying deliberately composed. The mind cannot be controlled through mere desire alone. It demands structure. Habits are that structure. Consistent self-observation builds predictability, and predictability breeds strength. The mind eventually begins to follow command naturally, obeying the very discipline it has been shaped by. Mental control also dramatically expands your perception. When your thoughts stop running wild, your awareness of the outside world grows. Patterns in other people's behavior become clear. Manipulation is instantly visible, and emotional traps lose their effect. Those who control their inner world begin to influence their outer world effortlessly. Authority grows in silence, and the less visible the control, the more powerful it becomes. Machiavelli understood that visible emotion invites exploitation, while a steady composure creates mystery. That mystery, in turn, creates influence. People fear what they cannot easily read, and a perfectly controlled mind is unreadable. Control of the mind is not coldness, it is a form of refinement, the transformation of internal chaos into surgical clarity, of blind reaction into purposeful command. The one who governs thought governs destiny. Every empire, every conquest, every revolution is first born in the quiet discipline of an organized mind. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Control creates power. Number 4. Precision thinking. The art of flawless execution. Precision thinking is the fundamental difference between meaningless movement and lasting impact. Most people scatter their energy in 100 different directions, achieving only fragments of results, and then mistakenly calling it progress. The sharper mind does the opposite. It identifies one clear, high-value objective and channels every ounce of its focus into it until the outcome bends to its will. Machiavelli advised, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." Precision is not hesitation. It is a deliberate action executed with cold calculation, never raw emotion. Every great strategist understands that a single, well-timed, precise decision outweighs 1,000 impulsive efforts. The power of thinking resides not in speed, but in accuracy. A mind without precision is like a blade without an edge, full of latent potential, but utterly unable to cut through genuine resistance. Precision begins with observation. It is the unique ability to see the hidden pattern behind the chaos, to notice the subtle details others overlook, and to connect unfolding events before they fully materialize. Those who think loosely depend on luck. Those who think with accuracy create their own outcomes. Machiavellian psychology teaches that control is achieved not through brute force but through deep understanding. When your mind can dissect motives, anticipate moves, and measure the perfect timing, you no longer compete. You dominate silently. The very essence of precision is economy, saying less, moving less, deciding less, but doing each of those fewer things with flawless execution. Average minds are addicted to constant activity. Superior minds are addicted to unmistakable results. The precision thinker operates like a surgeon, one clean, calculated incision with zero wasted motion. This discipline demands patience, because acting at the wrong moment instantly destroys any strategic advantage. The impatient chase opportunities. The precise mind creates them. Machiavelli believed the wise ruler adapts to the times, but never loses his fundamental direction. The precise thinker adapts to all new information without ever abandoning their core clarity. Adaptation without loss of purpose is the quality that separates mastery from hopeless confusion. Precision inherently requires distance from emotion. When your thought process becomes entangled with personal feelings, your judgment is instantly clouded. The calm observer, detached from excitement or fear, sees only what others miss. That detachment is not indifference. It is strategy. It transforms raw uncertainty into absolute control. The world often mistakes silence for hesitation, but in truth, that silence is preparation, the collection of all necessary data before a decisive mental strike. The precise mind does not speak before fully understanding. It does not move before calculating. It does not commit before confirming. This restraint can give the illusion of slowness, but when the move is finally executed, it lands perfectly. Every error made by others becomes a meticulous map for the precise thinker. Failure is studied, not feared. Each misstep becomes a detailed instruction manual for the next success. This methodical approach turns observation into a supreme weapon. Machiavelli's principle, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally," is embodied by precision, clear, measured, and immediate in its effect. While others drown in a sea of options, the precise thinker sees only the single perfect target. Precision thinking also builds a quiet, unshakable authority. People instinctively trust the presence of those who never rush, who act with clear purpose and unwavering confidence. That calm focus exerts an invisible power. It signals mastery. Nothing commands attention like the mind that moves only when necessary and whose actions are never wasted. Precision makes your words rare but heavy. Your actions become few but final. Such thought cannot be manipulated because it sees the entire pattern before others even recognize the game has begun. In a distracted world, precision is the ultimate form of intelligence. Not loud, not reactive, but exact. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Precision is power. Number 5. Emotional immunity. Stay unshaken. Emotional immunity is the silent, impenetrable armor of powerful minds. Most people crumble under the sheer weight of their own feelings, allowing every insult, rejection, or disappointment to instantly dictate their mental state. They become easy to predict, trivially easy to provoke, and ultimately easy to control. The very moment emotion takes command, your judgment vanishes. Machiavelli's brutal insight holds: the one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. Emotionally reactive people are those who knowingly allow deception because they operate from blind impulse rather than clear intelligence. Emotional immunity is not the absence of feeling. It is the ability to remain absolutely steady while powerful feelings burn beneath the surface. It is unwavering composure under intense internal pressure, silence in the face of provocation, and unshakable calm in moments that would utterly destroy the ordinary mind. A person without emotional control is like a house without walls. Every passing wind enters and rearranges whatever it pleases. The disciplined mind builds invisible walls, not to block emotion entirely, but to perfectly contain it. Anger, envy, fear, and doubt are not your enemies. They are vital signals. They reveal the precise weak points in your internal fortress that must be reinforced. Emotional immunity begins with acute awareness, recognizing the emotion without ever surrendering to its command. This awareness instantly transforms reaction into deep understanding. The one who feels anger but does not act on it gains profound knowledge of power dynamics. The one who senses fear but moves forward with logic gains complete mastery over instinct. Every time a strong emotion rises and your self-control holds, your inner stability is cemented. Machiavelli believed that a ruler should appear compassionate but remain rational beneath the mask. His lesson is not about deception, but adaptability. Emotion must never be allowed to rule strategy. In modern life, those who remain centered when everyone else loses control effortlessly gain influence without resistance. When someone attempts to throw emotional fire at you, the calm individual becomes a perfect mirror. The aggressor sees only their own instability harshly reflected back. This single act reverses control instantly. Emotional immunity is the powerful ability to absorb chaos without ever reflecting it outward. It is the ultimate disarmer of manipulation, because manipulation feeds exclusively on reaction. Every environment tests this discipline: insults, betrayal, failure, misunderstanding. All are carefully designed emotional traps intended by circumstance to fracture your focus. The immune mind studies them like cold data, extracting patterns rather than experiencing pain. This ruthless perspective turns raw suffering into pure strategy. Emotional control is not coldness. It is clarity protected by an absolute composure. The more immune your mind becomes, the less power external turmoil holds over you. Others will wonder how your calmness remains intact when tension peaks. But that calmness is not natural. It is meticulously engineered through repeated restraint. Every silent, controlled response is a brick laid in the fortress of your self-command. The emotionally immune individual sees through the entire theater of human behavior. When others shout, they listen. When others panic, they observe. That observation reveals motives, weaknesses, and truths hidden deep beneath the surface of emotion. This is not detachment born from indifference, but from a profound awareness, knowing that energy spent on mere reaction is energy ruthlessly stolen from your own progress. Machiavelli would call this invisible dominance, the art of appearing completely unaffected while quietly directing the outcomes. Emotional immunity turns chaos into opportunity. It transforms pain into precision. It trains your perception to remain stable regardless of any external turbulence. Such unshakable stability creates mystery, and that mystery in turn creates unearned respect. Those who cannot be shaken eventually become untouchable. The world always bends to those who refuse to bend to it. Now I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Calm never loses. Number 6. Sharpness builds silent respect. Sharpness is a language the world understands without needing a single word. In an era of non-stop noise and arrogant displays, the individual who moves with absolute precision, quiet restraint, and total composure becomes utterly impossible to ignore. People often confuse true respect with fleeting popularity, But real lasting respect flows from silent authority, the unmistakable aura of control that makes others sense your discipline before you even speak. Machiavelli famously stated, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In today's context, that fear is not physical, it is profoundly psychological. It is the quiet discomfort others feel in the presence of someone who simply cannot be influenced, persuaded, or provoked. Sharpness radiates a palpable power without needing any aggression. It communicates exclusively through your controlled behavior, not through speech. The sharp mind does not chase validation. It defines its own unshakable standard, and that self-defined boundary forces everyone else to either rise to meet it or quietly retreat. Every single action you take is intentional. Every response is meticulously calculated. Every silence is a deliberate act. The world respects what it cannot predict. When your emotions are hidden and your deepest thoughts remain unreadable, people approach you with caution and intense curiosity. Sharpness instantly becomes a form of dominance, not through force, but through a level of self-control so precise that others feel it as a profound strength. The more composed a person becomes, the more magnetic their presence grows. This magnetism is not just charisma. It is mastery, the concentrated energy of someone who has utterly tamed the internal chaos. Machiavelli taught that appearances shape power just as much as actions. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The sharp individual uses this principle strategically. Every movement is intentional. Every expression is measured. There is no need to explain or justify anything. The less you reveal, the greater your potential impact. People respect restraint because it signals control. They respect silence because it implies profound confidence. They respect calmness because it suggests absolute dominance over emotion. Sharpness is the art of perfect timing, knowing exactly when to act and when to remain still. In a society overwhelmed by distraction, calm precision stands out far more powerfully than loud, aggressive ambition. The sharp person does not interrupt others to be heard. They wait, they observe, and then they strike with complete clarity when their words will carry maximum, undeniable weight. That potent patience builds true authority. Others will instinctively start adjusting their tone, lowering their voice, and moderating their entire behavior in response to that quiet energy. Respect becomes automatic. It is not a demand, but an earned consequence of consistent self-discipline. People trust those who appear unshakable because they symbolize order in an utterly chaotic world. This is why sharpness commands both admiration and cautious distance. It forces people to think twice before attempting to lie, manipulate, or show disrespect. Machiavelli knew that influence requires distance. Too much familiarity inevitably breeds contempt. The sharp mind maintains boundaries so perfectly defined that others never forget them. Respect flows naturally toward those who hold themselves to a visibly higher standard. Sharpness doesn't seek approval, it enforces it through presence alone. In the end, the sharp become untouchable, not through cheap intimidation, but through their own quiet excellence. Their focus, their calmness, and their immense restraint speak louder than any declaration of strength ever could. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Respect follows clarity. Number 7. The wisdom of missteps. Learn from mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are the indelible fingerprints of progress. Every error, every miscalculation, every painful regret is a coded, personalized message from reality, instantly exposing what your ego or pride tried to conceal. The weak run from their mistakes, confusing the pain of the lesson with a final punishment. But the strong dissect their mistakes, knowing that the pain is the necessary instruction. Machiavelli wrote, A wise man does at once what a fool does at last. The difference is immediate recognition, the ability to confront a mistake immediately, extract its lesson, and instantly transform it into strategic knowledge before it has a chance to fester into weakness. The world punishes those who endlessly repeat the same errors, for it sees them as unfit to even lead themselves. Learning from your mistakes is not about self-flagellation or guilt. It is about ruthless adaptation. A person who meticulously studies their own missteps becomes exponentially more dangerous than any who simply try to avoid all risk. Failure sharpens judgment in ways that comfort never, ever can. Each wrong decision reveals a hidden blind spot, instantly exposing how emotion, impulse, or ego clouded your logic. The wise use those moments to completely reconstruct their mental architecture. They do not seek pity. They coldly analyze the patterns, ask precisely why it happened, and then instantly rewire their behavior until the same situation can never trap them twice. That rigorous process builds a quiet, internal intelligence, the kind that does not come from books or teachers, but from the brutal education of surviving consequences. Every scar becomes a strategic memory. Each disappointment is a silent, unblinking tutor. Machiavelli believed that misfortune is not an enemy, but an essential mentor. He said, "Fortune shows her power where valor has not prepared to resist her." Mistakes expose exactly where your preparation was missing. When properly understood, they guide your mind toward anticipation. The one who studies their past failures no longer fears uncertainty because they have already seen their own limits and then consciously conquered them. While others hide behind flimsy excuses, the self-aware individual learns to predict danger long before it arrives. That supreme foresight is a form of dominance. It allows you to move through life not as a victim of chance, but as a deliberate architect of your outcomes. Mistakes lose their sting the moment they are converted into concrete lessons, and lessons in turn become an absolute immunity against repetition. The most difficult part of learning from mistakes is that it requires the death of the ego. You must accept full personal responsibility without resentment. Most people prefer to blame external circumstances because accountability demands painful internal reconstruction. But Machiavellian wisdom teaches that power only grows in the exact place where delusion dies. The ruler who cannot admit a fault instantly loses credibility. The man who cannot face his own error becomes entirely predictable. True intelligence is self-correction in perpetual motion. Those who learn from their mistakes evolve faster because they are masters at converting pain into usable power instead of crippling paralysis. Over time, this intense adaptability forges them into something unbreakable, not because they never fail, but because they no longer fear failure at all. Machiavelli saw that the foundation of true resilience lies in self-education through the pressure of pain. The mistake is never the ultimate problem. The refusal to learn from it is. A person who studies their downfall learns to control its repetition, and that control is the ultimate essence of strength. The one who never denies their mistakes becomes immune to all external manipulation because no one can use their past against them once they have already weaponized it into wisdom. The world is lost in noise, endless, shallow opinions, fleeting emotions, and meaningless motion disguised as tangible progress. But those who sharpen their minds move in profound silence. They do not chase distractions. They meticulously remove them. They do not seek validation. They build undeniable clarity. Every moment of focus becomes an intentional act of dominance in a society addicted to confusion. Machiavelli observed, "Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack. Then they attack others. The sharpened mind follows this exact path. It first eliminates its internal weakness, then gains absolute control, and finally commands influence without needing to utter a word. The true final transformation begins when your thoughts cease reacting and start anticipating, when emotion no longer dictates your behavior, when focus becomes unbreakable, calm becomes your armor, and discipline becomes pure instinct. That is when the mind transcends the ordinary. That is when it becomes what Machiavelli understood deeply. A mind that doesn't just survive chaos, but actively bends it toward a chosen purpose. Those who master this mental sharpness walk through life differently. They effortlessly read between the lines, see through surface intentions, and act with surgical precision while others hesitate. They have no need to prove their intelligence because their profound control speaks for them. They are the shadows behind power, the calm presence that commands silent, absolute respect. If this message ignited a fire inside, take a moment to honor your own awakening, not with words, but with a firm, silent resolve to act. Stay until the end of the path. Like this video, share it with one person you know is truly ready to evolve, and subscribe to join a circle that forges the mind into a weapon of undeniable purpose. Every great transformation begins with awareness, and you have just taken the first, hardest step. Remember this: a sharp mind cuts through everything. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. My mind is my greatest weapon.